Welcome back to Becoming. It is Nick Slater here, and today we are talking OnlyFans. We're joined by Victoria Sinis, who worked at an OnlyFans management company, where it was her responsibility to recruit and manage OnlyFans creators. But she only lasted 6 weeks, because once she saw behind the scenes and some of the disturbing realities of the industry, she changed paths, and Victoria is now on a mission to help educate and protect young women. In this episode, we chat about what these OnlyFans creators are required to do by these agencies, the surprising amount they earn, the link between OnlyFans and other parts of the sex work industry, and how we can help our kids manage the dangers of social media. This is a really important episode, which might just open your eyes to some of the harsh realities of the industry. And if you are a parent, there are lots of takeaways here around how to approach this topic with your kids. You can learn more about Victoria's mission at www.creatinggems.com, that's GEMS, or find her on Instagram at victoria.sinis, that's SINIS. I hope you get some value out of this episode, and if you do, consider hitting subscribe because it helps my channel grow. Enjoy this chat with Victoria. It takes a lot of bravery to talk about what we're going to talk about, so I want to acknowledge you for that because it's a really sensitive topic, and I think you're spreading a powerful message that really needs to be heard.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it.
You grew up in Melbourne.
Yes.
What was it like growing up down there?
For me, I was a party girl growing up. I got snuck into my first my first bar in St Kilda when I was 14 by my oldest brother.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's actually when I was immediately also introduced to drugs.
Right.
So at 14 years old is the first time I was ever exposed to cocaine.
Wow.
So for me, school, high school, everything like that was very much about the social life. I had a fake ID. So it was a very typical like Melbourne party girl lifestyle growing up. Yeah.
Yeah. Did that affect school?
School, yes and no. Like I still always went to school. It was just like, your Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you would go party sometimes on a Tuesday. But I was still always going to school, but I was never an academic in school. It just never enticed me. And I always really struggled to be an auditory learner. I'm more like a kinesthetic. Right. So I always struggled in that aspect of school anyways.
So in those early years, did you have much exposure to porn or explicit content back then?
To be honest with you, no. Like that's why when I came into this industry that I did, maybe I was blindsided or really naive.
Would have been a surprise, yeah.
Yeah, but no, growing up, I didn't watch porn, anything like that. To be honest, my exposure was Two Girls, One Cup in a Year 9 science class.
Yeah. So you told me earlier you've got so many nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
With your experience going out young, is there any messages that you can take from your experience to help guide them?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the most impactful thing that I can do having lived that lifestyle is not say don't do this and point a finger, but how do we give the facts of if you go down this path, this may happen. If you go down this path, this may happen. And not going, don't avoid it at all 100%, but what's the risk management? So that's something I really care about, like going in and being like, okay, you want to go clubbing, that's fine. Make sure you tell someone that you trust. If you are going to sneak out or have your location services on, tell your best friend's mum or like whoever is trusted. And honestly, like you can always call the police if things happen, like just those little tips. Like if you are too drunk, call the police straight away. Don't trust the bouncer, don't trust, young girls. I can extrapolate on all of this, but sometimes hang out with older boys. Like if you're drunk and you're out, don't call an older boy, don't be alone. I care more about the risk management and just alleviating a lot of unnecessary pain and mistakes than probably pointing the finger and saying, don't do this.
You're taking yourself to the same level as your kid. If they're going to go out, they're going to go out anyway. They're just going to rebel. So you may as well, like you said, guide them and offer those solutions.
Yeah, well, actually, one of my old close personal friends, her younger brother, taught me a really good lesson. So he was about maybe 5-6 years younger than us. And so when he started sneaking out and all the things, but what he would do is he would blatantly tell his mum. So he'd be like, she might catch him sneaking out and she'll be like, where are you? And he's like, oh, I just walked out the front door. I'm just down the road. She's like, it's 2 a.m. He's like, I know, but... And she was like, how can I tell him off or get mad at him when he's telling me everything he's doing? Like, at least I know. And I'm like, I think that communication, though, is what's needed because otherwise you do have sneaky kids. You don't know what they're doing. And at least, you can try and help if things do go bad.
So let's talk about when you went to the OnlyFans agency. How did you get the job?
Actually, a really close personal friend of mine started the agency.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the first day like, or what sort of things would you do day to day?
So the way that it started was an unofficial capacity because it was a startup business, super fresh, super new.
Right.
So for about 6 months, it was, I guess you could say, an informal advisory because it was someone who was a super close friend. I come from a background in helping startup businesses and marketing and all of that.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it was kind of just doing a little bit of that. Then when it was an official capacity, so a wage, I was the social media marketing manager.
Okay.
So what that looks like is, I can break there's 3 aspects to an OnlyFans agency. The first aspect is obviously OnlyFans management. So making sure that you're completely onboarding that girl's requirements for her OnlyFans account. You're putting someone on there that can best represent the girl and then making sure that you're making as much money as possible off the account.
Sure.
That's kind of number 1. Number 2 is the marketing. So you need to be making sure that you're always bringing in an influx of subs. So that's why you market.
Sure.
And then number 3 is recruitment. So you need to be building your business, I guess, and expanding it. So you want to be bringing more girls on. So yeah, it's kind of like OnlyFans management, marketing, and recruitment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. As well, I guess maybe what was niche about this is the other owners were already in the industry and were quite known. So they already had a social media presence.
Right.
So I guess there was an allure there to be like, hey, I want to be like this person and this person. So I want to come into the agency and live that lifestyle that they have.
Right, okay. So the founders of the company were women.
Yeah. Which is almost, I think, scarier. You know what I mean? I think that the fact that women think that, you know what, this is normal and they're just so, I don't even know what the word is. I just feel like have such a thick veil in front of their eyes of what's okay that they're like, yep, I do this, so therefore it's okay that other people do this, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really sad because at least there's not an excuse, but you can almost understand logically if a male is taking advantage of women.
Yep.
But then when women are taking advantage of women, I'm like, that's actually not just as sad, but really, really sad.
Yeah, especially if they've lived the experience, they know what's involved. So in that recruitment phase, what did that look like? Was that going through social media and finding girls that way?
Yep. So one of our roles was to scout the internet to look for girls that we might think are suitable. Right. And so we'd go on TikTok and Instagram and you would basically look for what content are they posting already? Is it provocative content? Because therefore they either have an OnlyFans or they're more likely to do one. So then there was that. Then there was how many followers do they have? So depending on the bracket of following would also be if you would message them. If it was too little of a following, it was too much work to build them up. Sure. And then if they were over 3 million, the likelihood was less that they would even respond to the message.
Because they already had established careers. And
yeah.
How likely were they to respond?
Again, Fortunately, a lot of them were quite keen because we already had established people in the industry and on social media that were the ones messaging them.
Yeah, sure.
So they were using their clout and their pull to be like, hey, I'm top dog and I'm messaging you. So then you'd be like, oh my gosh, this person's messaged me. Whoa, type of thing.
Which is almost like recognition, right? Everyone likes to be noticed and to be seen.
Yeah, which I think is so manipulative, to be honest with you.
It's just dangerous, isn't it?
It is. I think it's really disappointing that as older women, you're targeting these young girls when you should be a role model, but you're doing it in such a wrong way.
Yeah.
That these young girls are like, oh, they must have good lives, they must be happy, so I want to go down this path too and be a part of that sisterhood and that community and fit in there because, And
you see that they've got freedom, they've got money, they might have a nice car, and the girl thinks that's how you get that as well.
Yeah.
Did that feel a bit icky at the time, or was it because it was such a new experience for you, you were kind of just sprung with it all as well?
No, it didn't feel weird at the time at all. And I think that that's because, I guess it shows your circle's so important, hey, because who are you surrounding yourself with? And if everyone in your world is saying something's acceptable, you're actually not going to think twice of it. And if culture and social media says it's okay, then you're not going to think anything of it. Then as well, I didn't really understand what OnlyFans was. I didn't have a concept of it. You hear rumors, oh, you can just sell your feet on there or all these other weird things. And then so it wasn't until I actually was on the platform and was seeing the reality of what it was is when I was like, oh, this isn't it.
once you're on that platform, you see what the girls or what the creators have to put up and what guys are requesting. Was that all a bit
It's
intense?
disgusting. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like, it's gross. Like, it's weird. Like, I think it's such a peculiar concept that we enjoy watching people do sexual acts.
Yeah.
It's so uncomfortable and so bizarre to me.
Well, firstly, what was the standard demographic of a subscriber or someone who was paying for OnlyFans?
Well, fun fact, I actually just learnt this.
Yeah, right.
So that the statistics of this, there was a 2024 report that just came out. So 87% are male, 89.4% are likely to be married. And then the average age demographic is 29 years old. And then the average income is $42,000 a year.
Oh, wow.
So that's the stock standard OnlyFans subscriber you'll get on the platform.
Do you think the creators, the girls, would feel differently if they knew that?
Absolutely. I think that if you could humanize the subscriber to the content creator, I think it would change a lot of things, definitely.
Was there anything on there that was really shocking? Did they go into...
The things that disturbed me the most as well, obviously there's everything. So we had levels at the agency as well. So when you would onboard a girl that you were representing, you had to create this thing called a brief. And so the brief is how you can best represent your girl. So your chatter that you have on the account kind of knows everything about the girl so they can pretend to be her.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And so we had these things called levels. So level 1 was like Instagram content. So if you're happy to do like bikinis and lingerie. And then level 2 was like implied nude. So maybe you're naked but like you're covering and everything. Level 3 is when you got into the more hardcore things, and it went up to level 5.
Okay.
So that means that there's no boundaries if you want to do girl, boy, like anything. So yeah, I saw everything. And then there's these things called custom requests. And so custom requests are when a subscriber can go, hey, I really want you to do this. Now, a lot of them are weird stuff like, and excuse the crudeness, but like dick ratings, but they're derogatory. So they really enjoy you abusing their personal photos.
Right.
Then other things that were quite common were writing the subscribers' names on their stomachs in like, I own you, like really
It's weird shit. Yeah. Messed up dudes out there.
Yep.
Yeah. So you guys would jump on and do the chatter with the subscribers and talk to them. What sort of pressures were on the creator day to day to put content out?
So from a social media perspective, when we would onboard them, you would also do a marketing call. So the marketing call was my responsibility. So I would give them a call and basically be like, to be a part of our agency, you have to do this, this, and this.
Right.
The this, and this was 3 to 5 TikTok accounts. And every single day on those TikTok accounts, you needed to be creating original content. So you couldn't you couldn't do one video on one account and then use that across the others. You'd have to do all original on all accounts.
A slightly different name for the same creator?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so all different variances of the name, and then the content that you would create, we actually outsourced someone to find it, and it was very specific content that was made for virality. So it was very provocative, and then it was always with like a trending skit, a trending sound, or like a trending song.
Right, yeah.
So that was the most important, is getting that out on TikTok every single day.
So TikTok was the main platform?
Yeah, there was TikTok, and then what would happen though is you would have to funnel it through. So
Right.
you can't put a link in bio on TikTok. You need to go and funnel it through to Instagram. And then on Instagram, you'd be reposting those. It's just about getting as much exposure as possible.
Using those trends on TikTok and trying to get that virality, it's really targeting a certain demographic there as well, because the younger audience is going to be following those trends and seeing that content. And I guess that's how these OnlyFans creators are becoming famous with kids and the younger kids as well. It's almost like grooming them in a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It truly is. And it's intentional. What was noticed working at the agency is the youngest creator made the most money.
Really?
And she was pretending to be 18. And so as well, there's other, I guess, black market ways that you can market people on the internet that's not these mainstream platforms. And if you have a look on them, the biggest click rate is teens, fresh teens, and barely legal.
Right.
And so that's what makes the most money. So you are targeting young women that you want to bring on because they're, what you can make the most money from.
If a creator would say you recruit somebody and they go onto the platform, What usually was their first weeks on it like? Would they be enjoying it? Did they realize it was more work than they thought? How would most of them adjust?
There's a couple aspects to it. I think that for a lot of them, because you have this environment, this is specifically from what I saw, so I don't know about other creators, I guess. But you have this team of females and they're championing you. And, you know, again, you're presented on a silver platter that when you come to our agency, you get the parties, you get the sisterhood, you get the clout. Like, so when a lot of them come in, they're really pumped up and they're really excited and they want to do all the social media and they see the money and, yeah, all of that.
Yeah, I guess with that money, because you can earn the shitloads, right? So if with that flash in front of people's eyes, of course they're going to be motivated and energized by that.
Yeah. But a really interesting from that report as well, this was shocked me the most is, again, as you said, people think that they can earn a lot of money. Well, the average monthly wage on OnlyFans is $140 USD a month.
Okay, wow.
So only 300 in 2021, there was 2.1 million content creators on OnlyFans and only 300 of them make more than $1 million a year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. So would your agency be profitable from maybe the top 3 and then the rest they're just banking on to try and get big? Is that how the revenue model works?
Yeah, so there was definitely the dominant ones who would make the most money and then you would just hope that the other ones you could build up.
Yeah, sure. Right. So the other parts of the business, there was the recruitment and then the managing. How was that for you? Like, how did you find that once you sort of got into the job and got used to it a little bit? Was that quite taxing on you?
So what had happened, the original company structure was when we started, I was only doing social media because that's my background.
Gotcha.
So I didn't see anything to do with the platform. There was another manager who was just running that and making sure the sales and training was strong on that end.
Right, okay.
So then what happened is we ended up going, this isn't working because there's too much of a disconnect. Because if you're impersonating someone, you have to know what they're doing on social media and on OnlyFans.
Right.
So it went from individually managing the girls' social media and OnlyFans to you get a lesser amount of girls and you do the full life cycle.
Okay.
So then when that happened, it's a high workload, but then that's as well when you start to see like all the things.
Everything.
Yep.
Yeah. What do you think it was like for those creators creating content on OnlyFans every day?
Well, one of the justifications for the starting of the agency was the fact that it is a very lonely job, and so we get to connect girls and build a community, which is factual. Like, it is very lonely. A lot of the times you are just in your room with a camera, so there isn't really a sense of community. And then as well, a lot of the girls at the start, it's all fun and games, but you can see the life cycle as they go on. I don't want to do it, over it, get anxiety about it. Just the mental health in general from the exposure that I had was really poor.
Really?
It was really, really sad to see. But yeah, I think a lot of them are either in total, complete and utter denial. And they're the ones that you hear are the loudest about defending it.
Right,
and then there's the newbies that are like, this is exciting. And then the ones who are like, what am I doing? Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it totally makes sense that if it's coming from a woman-led agency, pitched as a sort of an empowering exercise with where you can make lots of money, join the sisterhood and do it together, I definitely see the appeal for someone starting out. But as you say, the realities of it, must just chip away at your mental health and become such a lonely job.
I think that's the thing. Like, you're selling the most precious thing that you have, which is your body. And so unless you totally disassociate from that and you have absolutely, I personally think, no genuine love for yourself, that's how you can just openly do it.
We all want to be loved and to be accepted. And I guess if you're not feeling that, if you don't have love for yourself, an easy way to get that is to get validation and approval from people online. But it's not the right route, is it? You need to build that self-esteem and that self-worth internally first.
Yeah, you need those fundamental pillars of this is my value, and it's a non-negotiable. Otherwise, it's just a drug that you constantly need that hit from. Yeah.
How do you go about building self-worth or loving yourself so that you don't have to look outside for that validation?
I call it like the margin for error. And I'm like, what is your margin for error where hypothetically you're like a 6-year-old child and you have no concept of self-worth and body image and all of these things. And then what happens between that and now you're 18 and your self-worth and self-love is so low that you think that the only way that you can experience love is to sell your body online. What's that margin for error? And I really care about that, and I'm really interested in that, because I'm like, if you can understand what that margin is and then build some foundational pillars in that time, then you can hopefully mitigate a lot of pain and trauma throughout someone's entire life.
What are those fundamental pillars?
I stole it. It's actually business terminology.
Right,
like your pillars. I use it in business, like to build a business. What are your pillars?
Nice. I guess core values.
Yeah, like and they're not based on your looks. That is the most important thing. It's not based on anything that can be taken away. It's your true essence. And I think the beauty in that is that it always evolves. So you don't get stuck with this and then, you're 16 and you're like, I'm funny and I'm generous. And then when you're 27, you still have to be funny. You're like, no, you know what? I've learned over the years, I'm a beautiful friend. I'm a great partner. I have tenacity, whatever it is. And I think that if we have those fundamental core values, at least when things get swayed and maybe you're feeling a bit, yucky that day and you want to post that provocative photo, you go, wait, but what are my core values?
Yeah, what really makes me happy?
Yeah. And is my core value that I'm hot? No, it's actually that I'm extremely generous. So I don't need that validation from that like. Like that's what I hope can be implemented in people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just it doesn't come innately to us. It's sometimes we need someone else to tell us that. The shot of validation on the internet's not the proper medicine. It needs to come by establishing your values and then going back to those when you're feeling down. I try to do it as well. If I'm feeling flat after a week, I'll look back and go, oh, have I ticked off my values, which is like creativity or connection or adventure. And I
love that.
Yeah, often if I'm sad, it's because I'm not honoring one of those things. So it's actually a really quick way to diagnose where you can make improvements. Yeah,
and that's the thing. I think it's a learned skill. So you've not been born with that. But it's also about having the discipline to go, when I am feeling sad like you are, you're like, well, okay, let's quickly do a check right now and let's build myself up. And then, okay, cool, I'm good to go again, like type of thing. And I think that in this day and age, that is really, really difficult for people, to be able to like check themselves again and bring them back to that like homeostasis point.
It is for sure, especially if we're getting distracted every 5 minutes, every 5 seconds on our phone. And
on TikTok.
Yeah, on TikTok, where I found you, ironically. So it is good, but it's just being mindful about how you're using it. But I guess it's so tough for teenage girls, if they're seeing other creators or other influencers and subconsciously getting this message that to be a valuable member of society, this is what you have to do, or to be rich or to have freedom of travel, this is what you have to do. So it's almost like they're swimming upstream to begin with, and that's why education in schools is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. When the last time I went to a school after I spoke, there was a bunch of girls that actually came up to me after and asked, do you know this specific creator? I was like, I know them from TikTok, that's it. And I was like, but I'm assuming you enjoy their TikToks, that's why you're asking. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, what do you like about this person? And they're like, well, they seem happy and they can travel. And I was like, wait, so you think that the only way you can be happy and travel is to do OnlyFans? And they're like, yeah. And they couldn't understand that to get to that end goal, OnlyFans is not the solution to that. And they were like 16. And I was like, that's really, really sad.
Scary. I saw a male equivalent on TikTok where this guy was doing those street vox pops, like asking kids questions on the street. And he asked something like, who's your favorite celebrity? And a few of them said this one name that I didn't recognize. Went to her profile and she was an OnlyFans creator. And these kids would have been 13, 14.
Yeah, absolutely. And for little like young boys, I can't imagine like how confusing that must be, because you're seeing this person on TikTok and they're getting rewarded for their actions through the likes, the followings, the deals you can get, the lifestyle. So then young boys are being taught that, okay, that's a desirable woman. That's what a woman should be. And then young girls are going, okay, this is what's rewarded. And then this is what guys. So it's a whole thing. And I think that, if you can just come in and again, not doomsday, not judge, but just go, hey guys, this is the actual reality. So on the surface level, yes, it does seem glamorous. Yes, it does seem this, but I guess from a personal perspective, I've been on the other side and I've been the one who has been influenced by social media and influenced by lack of education and this soft power that we do have that comes from TikTok and Instagram. And guys, it's not it. Like it really truly isn't. And just then going, if you wish to go down this path, this is what can happen. But if you wish to go, no, I actually want to avoid that and do this, well, actually all of this can open up for you as well.
Oh, it's amazing. I think you're in such a unique position to share your perspective, and it's so powerful what you're doing.
I think that the fact that a lot of people don't understand that once you get into this ecosystem, to get out is not as simple as deleting your account. As well as that, there's actually quite a big OnlyFans star in the States who's really in pickle right now trying to get her account deleted, and OnlyFans are like, well, there's still subscribers on the account, there's still this, there's still that. And she's having to, wiggle a little to be able to try and get her account deleted. And it's like, guys, it's not as simple as you make it. It's hush-hush, it's on the DL, and then it'll go away. It's actually there for forever. And I think a lot of youth don't understand that. And as well as that, once you're in this web, it's not like OnlyFans is here and the sex industry is here. They're actually the exact same thing. And so once you get into OnlyFans, the risk of you getting into prostitution, escorting, stripping, topless waitressing, even human trafficking, there's so many studies and correlations done between that. And so it's like you will be put in this insidious monster and you don't even understand that that's what you're getting into because it's told that it's this glamorous lifestyle that you're living, Yeah.
I imagine it's quite a slippery slope, hey? Like once you've compromised your values to do that, what's the difference between doing that and then doing it in real life?
Absolutely. And I think that as was kind of said before, like if your average income on OnlyFans is maybe $140 USD a month, and you're going to go, wait a minute, I'm putting all this content out. It's already on the internet. I'm already exposing myself. Well, I'm not earning enough money from this because, you're exactly right. You're in that mentality. You're going to go, well, what's the harm in going and having sex in real life? I'll get more money from it. Or whatever.
The only difference is someone else films it.
Yeah, and that's why I think it is just a really important thing to highlight that the sex industry and being a sex worker is not mutually exclusive to all the other traditional forms we think. OnlyFans is definitely the exact same in that category, yeah.
Yeah, like these kids wouldn't aspire to be a porn star, so why are they aspiring to be an OnlyFans
Exactly,
creator?
yeah, that's a perfect way to put it.
Drawing links between those two.
Yeah.
So was there a day that you decided you'd had enough, or was it a gradual transition?
So in an official capacity, I actually only lasted at the agency for 5.5 weeks. It wasn't a long time, to be honest with you. And what had happened is I was feeling really weird and really yucky. I was getting really upset every single day. I couldn't open up my laptop. I couldn't read any of the conversations. I was just crying every day. And there was this one specific girl that just reminded me of one of my nieces. And I was like, oh, that could be her when she grows up and she looks like that. And I'm like, if she did that, I'd be devastated. And then I was like, wait a minute, this one on the screen, that's someone's niece, that's someone's daughter. And it just immediately humanized them. And then for about 2 weeks, I was really, really just pushing and pulling with this. And I was actually speaking to other people in the agency. I was like, do you guys think this is wrong? And, people would say that it's the same as a safe injecting heroin room. People are going to do drugs. They need a safe place to do it. And then other people were like, well, I don't want to do this for forever. I actually have another career aspiration, but I can make as much money as possible doing this and then go do that. These are on the other side, not the creators, the actual workers at the agency.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this doesn't feel right. So in my weird brain, I went, I'm going to go volunteer and I'm going to go offset all the bad that I'm doing. And if I volunteer, that means I'm going to feel better about myself. And then maybe I can come back into this world and into this job and everything will be fine. And so what I ended up doing was when I was about 12 years old, I stopped going to church. I obviously was very far away from my faith.
Yeah.
But I just had this random memory that there was this thing called World Impact at my church. And so you could go help refugees there. So I was like, sick, I'm going to go sign up for World Impact. In my mind, I thought I was going to go to Greece and help refugees in Greece. I don't know, maybe I wanted a holiday.
Yeah.
And so this leads to that very definitive turning moment. And so I signed up for World Impact, and through a way that we still don't know how to explain to this day, the World Impact team didn't get my email, but the young adults pastor at that church did. And the email said, Victoria's reaching out, here's her number. And I saw the email, I was like, whoa, no idea.
Yeah.
So it was a Thursday. I went down to church to talk about refugees. And I ended up word vomiting to this stranger everything that was going on. And all they said to me was, I think that you should come hear the speaker this weekend. And the speaker was a lady named Melinda Tankard-Reist, and she has dedicated her life to educating people on the dangers of over-sexualization. She's written like a bunch of books on all of this and just really explains what this is doing to children. And so after I heard her speak, I ran down to her and I was like, hi, my name's Victoria. I work for an OnlyFans agency and I hate myself. And she's like, let's have lunch. And so I sat with her and I just asked her my questions. She didn't demonize me. She didn't judge me. She didn't anything. She just answered my questions. And that was on a Sunday. And by the Friday, I quit.
Wow.
Because I was like, I can't. Like, it just opened up my eyes. It took me getting out of my circle and have someone give me the reality to be like, no, what I was feeling was right. This isn't wrong. Like, I need to shatter this reality that this is okay and this is liberating. And as soon as that reality was shattered, I never looked back.
Wow. Isn't that amazing that the perfect person found you?
Yeah.
The universe or God put the exact person that you needed to speak to right in front of you.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, the creator of the universe is always leveraging everything in your benefit, always working for you to make sure that everything is just lined up perfectly. And that's exactly what happened here. Yeah.
I believe that as well. Yeah. The universe always has your back. You've just got to listen and allow it and, surrender to that and
absolutely
and follow.
Yeah. And so then that's how we've sort of ended up here.
Yeah. So you said that it shattered your reality. How important do you think that, you've talked about the people around you, that reality you had built up? What were some other aspects of that you had to break free from?
To be totally transparent, everything. There was a 14-year friendship in there that I had to walk away from. Was also building a medicinal cannabis company at the time, which was my dream. My educational background's in psychology and psychoactive psychotherapy. So walked away from the potential of that becoming a dream, and then became sober. I don't drink anymore, anything like that. Totally new circle and just different lifestyle altogether now.
Wow, they're massive shifts.
Yeah. About the first 6 weeks was really rough. 6 to 8 weeks of back and forth and kind of dabbling in that lifestyle. And then, maybe I'd go out and I'd drink and do drugs again and I'd feel horrible about myself. And then there was a point maybe 8 weeks in where I said enough is enough. I hate this lifestyle. I hate that person. I don't want to do it anymore. And then from that moment on, I was like, I just surrender everything and I don't want to be that anymore. And that's where the real change began.
I think we've all got that aspect of our life where there's something that's not aligning and we know it. It might be a friend, it might be drinking, using drugs. What advice do you have for someone who knows what it is but is struggling to break free?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think there's two ways that this can be answered. Either you need the tough love to go pull your head in, enough's enough, you need to stop what you're doing. Like in yourself, you need to do that, and I think that when people know, this might be a good piece of advice. Why? I love doing this. It's the why. And so you sit there and you go, I'm feeling really gross. I don't like my life. Why? Well, I drink and I don't want to drink. Why? Well, because I get pressured by my friends. Why? Well, because all my friends drink. Why? And just sit there and keep going down that why. And if you keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, you're going to figure out all of it. You're going to sift through it all and get to that root cause because all of these other things are just branches, And so once you get to that root cause and you can identify it, I think that's where you can really make a change. So that would be my biggest advice to anyone who's really struggling right now, who doesn't know what's going on. They feel like they're just, barely existing. Sit down with yourself, phone on do not disturb, put it away, silence, and dedicate, honestly, as long as it takes to get to your root cause by asking why to every single question. And then from there, you'll know what to do.
Purpose is such a big thing to talk about, but how do you think you discover your purpose? And
I think there's multiple aspects to this, but I think that we need to be honest. I think sometimes when people have a radical change, they just think that their way is the right way. And I think that if you're purposeless and you don't know what to do, number one is, one thing is go help other people in any aspect, get out of your own head. Because a lot of times when you're purposeless and you're waiting for your aha and that big thing to happen or, it clicks, you need to be doing things to figure out what that is. You can't just be potentially going to your 9 to 5 that you actually really don't enjoy and then coming home and then on weekends getting drunk. You can't. So go join a tennis club. I don't know, go paint, go dance, go do something And if you don't have the funds, there is so many free communities. There is so many other ways. There's community groups on Facebook that you can join and meet up with people. Like, go do something, get out of your own head. And through that exposure, you will be able to figure out, and organically things will just fall into place. But you need to do something, I think, is one really important aspect. I think that I'm very blessed in a sense that I've always been I'm not in this. I'll try anything and everything. I'll do anything and everything. And I've always been that way, which also builds up to really good life skills that you can have for whatever you end up doing. You know?
Cool. As in trying all kinds of different things.
I've not cared what job I've had. I don't care if it's in sales. I don't care if it's been at the gym. I don't care if it's in creative marketing, in startup, like whatever it is. Like even if you gave me a job at Kmart, I'd be like, sick. How, like, let's do it. Let's be the best Kmart employee ever. Like just whatever it is. And I just think that just having that free flow flexibility, and I'm going to try anything and everything, it doesn't matter what it is. That's how you can find your purpose, but also immediately have some sort of peace. Because a lot of people who don't have a purpose don't have peace. So I think that at least that way you're going, hey, I'm trying things, I'm striving, I feel like I'm creating momentum. And then another way in which you can do that is just really sit and be real with yourself. As I said, do the why. And then as well, if you're like, I hate my life, I hate everything about it, I'm not, as silly or weird and lame as this sounds, connect with a church. Connect with like a community. Do something. Be around people that are actually going to lift you up. And even if you're not religious, even if you're not anything, if you just go and be around people and have people that just love on you, love will change everything. And so, and then through there, again, you can just get out of your own head, get out of your own way and figure it out. For me personally, it was that. I had to be honest with myself and say, I hate what I'm doing. I hate my life. I need to take the steps to get out of here. And then I didn't wallow in it. I made those changes as quickly as I could for the capacity that I had. And I just didn't stop with that momentum. And then I connected myself with people that were just genuine people. And I personally found that in a church, and people can find that in any other way, but you'll know deep down if people are good for you. Are they leading you to the club, or are they leading you to the beach walk at 5 a.m. and the juice and the coffee type of thing? You know. Mm-hmm. So I think that they're just some really good, not overwhelming steps on how you can figure out what your purpose is.
No, that's really practical. I love that. People are looking for community at the moment, and it's up here, maybe the same as Melbourne, run clubs are taking off. And I think it's similar to a church. You know, people want to go somewhere where they feel included, where they can surround themselves with other positive people, because we are the product of the people we spend our time around. And
absolutely.
It's interesting as well with drinking. We're so conditioned to think that every Saturday, every Friday night, you have to go out and get drunk. That's how you see your friends. That's how you socialize.
Yeah.
But like what we've been saying, that's not the case for everybody. You can break free of that conditioning and find so much more energy and a whole new lifestyle outside of that.
Absolutely. And even with that, if you don't have to go, okay, if I'm not drinking, I can't go there at all. It depends on your degree as well. So for me personally, I know that I'm someone that can't drink. That was a big reason why I stopped consuming alcohol, because it was getting really dark into a severe problem for me.
Yeah.
I was getting to the point where I was like a functional alcoholic. Yeah. And yeah, that's a whole thing we can go into of, you know, when you're living disingenuously, you need to obviously numb those things. And that's what I was doing. But I can be out now, and like I had my birthday dinner the other week and my friends can drink, or the weekend before that we went to this place in Melbourne called the Botanical Hotel. My friends had a drink. I'm more than happy with just my mocktail or my Coke Zero or just a water, and you can still socialize. I think that a lot of people think that if I'm not drinking, I can't be involved in my community anymore. And it's like, nah. But you'll get to a point as well where you see all the benefits from it. And you're like, I'm so happy now going home at 10 and waking up fresh and all of that. So I think that that's a narrative that as well needs to be, just because you're not drinking doesn't mean you can't go out. It doesn't mean you're not fun anymore. And there's so many other things you can do, but you can still go out and enjoy those things you did. You're just not getting drunk. And it's still just as fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. A few times I've been out recently, or in the last couple of years, there's been moments where I'm like, I'm a few drinks down here, but I don't feel like I'm contributing to the conversation as much. I actually prefer how I am when I'm sober. When we went out in our earlier years, maybe we needed alcohol as a bit of a social lubricant. But I don't think that's the case anymore. I think we've built up the confidence and the self-esteem in public where we no longer need the drink. We're just using it out of habit.
Absolutely. I definitely think so. And again, it comes down to this whole thing of, what is our culture? What is our culture teaching us? And how can we be as countercultural as possible? Because if you go to Europe, when I was in Greece a couple of years ago, and when you hang out with Greeks from Greece, mate, it's, you go out at like 11 and you're out till 6, but you've had 2 drinks. If that, the culture isn't to go out and to get drunk. The culture is to sit there, be with people, and alcohol's not the main event. And that's what I loved when I went to Europe. Not like Mykonos, obviously, just to say the obvious.
Yeah.
But, like the towns and stuff. And I loved that. And when I came back, I actually stopped going out after I went to Europe, because I was like, the culture here is you go out to get drunk, to do drugs, to have the sesh. And so it's like, if you can switch that and just go, I'm not going out to get effed up, but I'm going out because I love my friends and I want to hang out with my friends. I think that's where you said you can be like, I'm actually contributing. I'm having a great time here. This is so fun.
There's a real decline in people going out here, and I think they're seeing that through festival attendances. Nightlife is down, and I think part of the reason for that is that we attribute going out with drinking. So people are steering away from drinking. They're running in the morning and they're leaning towards a more healthy lifestyle, but they're going out less because that's automatically tied to drinking. So I think that backs up your point about the culture where, we don't go out just to socialize and be sober and have fun. We go out to drink. So if you don't want to drink, you don't go out.
Yeah, and we can keep it innocent. Why can't we just go out and have a dinner and it doesn't end up with 5 wines in?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's really encouraging, though. I am hearing that narrative more and more that less and less people are drinking, but I don't want it to be a potential mentality, hypothetically, where people are going, I'm not drinking, therefore I'm staying in and I'm not having fun.
Yeah, don't shrink your world.
Yeah.
You can still see the world and still have a really social life.
Yeah, and a really fulfilled life.
Yeah.
You just don't need to drink to do it. Yeah.
Get up early the next day.
Oh, and you're fresh. Exactly.
The best.
Isn't it the best?
You mentioned becoming a positive role model for these kids and making a positive change.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think I'm still really goofy and I have my problems, obviously.
Everyone has their problems.
But I think that's it. I think it's just, soon I'll hopefully be able to speak a little bit more about my offering and stuff. But basically, I just want to help. It's as lame and as simple as that. I just think in this day and age, I can't imagine. For me, social media got really big in year 9. I'm 26. Instagram was really popping off then. So I guess there was still a lot of years without that influence. And then we can all remember what the start of Instagram was like. It's not this thing that it is now. I can't imagine for teenagers and young adults how hard this constant barrage is, because if you're not on social media, you're disconnected. But then when you're on it, what do you do?
It's hard for us as adults.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It sucks. Yeah.
I can't imagine. My only solution, my running solution at the moment is just to try and give your kids a flip phone or something without Instagram.
You can write a letter to your friends.
Guys, we're back. We've got the dial-up phone here.
Exactly. Do you want to know what a postbox is? And make it fun?
Going old school, guys.
Yeah.
But surely that's the only solution. Hold them off from Instagram as long as possible.
So I think with social media, it's not going avoid it at all costs, but obviously from a younger age, we need to be educating kids on what to do. So I don't know the name of these programs off the top of my head, but there's things that parents can install on their children's phone, and it will mitigate how long they're on apps for, and then you can shut it down from your phone.
Right.
You can turn the internet off from your phone and all that. So you have complete autonomy over your child's phone. So it's okay, they're 12 years old, maybe they're starting to walk to school, they need a phone. Yeah, maybe I don't know, it's hard. You don't want your kid to get picked on for having a Nokia.
Yeah.
But if they do have a smartphone, okay, I'm going to install this program on it, and then I'm actually going to sit down with my child and say, yes, you can have an Instagram account. We are putting it on private. Whenever you post something, I just want you to come show me. But it doesn't even have to be in a way. It's just I just want to see, keep it light, keep it casual. I want to see what you're posting. What outfit did you wear, or what are you thinking? Make it interactive and make it exciting. So they're like, Mum, I just did this, and can I put this up? Or you know what I mean?
Yeah, again, make friends with your kids.
Yeah. And then from there, you can just educate them a little bit. So then if something does pop up on Snapchat or something does pop up on YouTube, they'll go, oh, I saw, and that's okay. Unfortunately, these, but just at least they're talking to you and they're not clicking on it and then closing the door, and then that's where it starts. So I think that it's more so that management of how do we in a wise way, educate our kids how to navigate the use of social media. And just say they're like, oh, this popped up on the phone, or I was on this, or you catch them. Don't freak out, as hard as that might be, and like easier said than done. I don't have kids. I've not been in that position. But shame is such a powerful emotion. And I think that even if you freak out, if you shame your child, that's what the porn industry thrives on. Because if you're in the darkness and you don't want to tell people that you're addicted to porn and that you watch porn and stuff like that, because as open as it is, if you just, people don't blatantly be like, hey, do you want to come to mine and we'll watch porn like all the boys? And so it's still very much in the shadows.
Shameful.
Yeah, I think for parents, just try your hardest. I don't know how hard it would be. I really don't, but don't freak out and sit down. And if that happens, even just ask questions. How did you find that? Well, how did it make you feel? Why did you think that you should watch that? Well, do you know why we don't watch those things? I think questions are the most important. And then, if you can implement stuff like that as well, type of mitigation on your phones, depending like if they're tweens, just to make sure that they're not, and phones out of the room. That's a really important one.
No phones in the bedroom.
Yep. Overnight, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because I've even personally had people who are maybe in their early 20s message me and been like, I've been on Snapchat, I've had a bot, I thought it was a girl, and I sent them a photo, and now they're blackmailing me for more photos, and I'm like, go to the police straight away. And a lot of young boys this happens to, and they end up, some of them take their own lives and stuff like that. And but it always happens. You always hear these stories. It's at nighttime. They're in their bedroom. I don't know how these bots or these, predators know this. So no phones in the bedroom at nighttime.
Podcast I listen to is James English, and he has a lot of people who are shining lights on pedophilia. Really fucked up, but there are certain things that you can do to mitigate those issues, and phone not in the bedroom is a good one.
Again, not to doomsday and to scare people, and, but even just being a little bit careful about what you post of your children on social media. I do see people, and sometimes they might, emoji out the real private parts, but for a parent, something as showing your child's bare bottom is so innocent, as it should be. But unfortunately, the consequence of this world that we live in is that to some people, that is not innocent. And so I think that it's just about being a little bit wiser, because unfortunately, you don't know where that photo can end up. And then other little things that I've heard as well, which I thought was good advice, is, if like you're at a public playground and stuff like that, and like you see your child walk off like to the toilet that's like next to there, always walk in with them. Always make sure you're standing at the front, checking the stalls. Like, I know it sounds really, really horrible and really like heavy stuff to talk about.
It's just the realities of the world we live in.
I just feel bad. Sorry, that's so heavy.
No, it is heavy, okay. But it's just it's just really valuable information, I think.
Yeah.
So what's next, Victoria? You mentioned you're going into schools with some workshops. How does that look?
Yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to talk about this a little bit more in the next month type of thing. But basically it will be my offering to young girls in schools just to explain everything that I've been through, and as we've kind of discussed a little bit here, implement practical steps that can just help them hopefully for life, and things that they can always come back to navigate, how tumultuous this social media world is, and implement some really good values in them.
Practically going into schools around Melbourne, where would you like to take it?
I do actually go to LA in July. So if anyone is interested as well in kind of following that journey, or they're called Exodus Cry. So they're one of the biggest anti-sex trafficking organizations in the States, and they do incredible work and have really good documentaries as well on porn, the effects on children's brains. They have another one coming out, about how prostitution's like the manifestation of porn ideologies. Just really good information if anyone's interested in learning a little bit more.
Yeah, wonderful.
Side tangent. But yes, for me, absolutely. It's just if anyone's interested in hearing my story and having those practical things kind of implemented in their lives, in their schoolgirls, young women. I've been chatting a little bit with like young adults at churches as well. And
so have you got a name for because I can see on your cap a bit of branding there. Do you want to release that?
Yeah, so the merch will actually be coming out soon once I launch everything as well. So the brand is called GEMS. So GEMS is basically growth, empowerment, mastery and strength. And so the little terminology is we're trying to help create a new generation of gems.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. And what's your Insta?
So my Instagram is victoria.sinis, S-I-N-I-S, and then my TikTok as well is just vic.sinis.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Yeah, as I said, I really admire your bravery for for owning the experience you've had and using it to make a positive change in the world. I think that's so powerful. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you.